ọlọ́pàá tó ń gba rìbá máyégún máa wí àní ẹ̀sùn raki máyégún ti dé. Hello there. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. This is Mayegun live. Thank you very much for joining us in the Temple of Truth tonight. Brethren, remember, as you are tuning in, remember to read beyond just the caption of this broadcast. Read the description of the broadcast. Like it. Hear it. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends. Tell all of them that Mayegun is back and Mayegun is live. If you have done that already, thank you. And brethren, tonight, we are going to address the latest developments, this time around not from the contraption Nigeria, but from all the way from the US Congress that is showing interest in the ongoing religious killings, jihadist-sponsored killings in Nigeria. It's been like that in the last 10 years at least. You have the National Assembly of Nigeria in the contraption, currently saddled with, the effort to try to shield a predator and other predators in their National Assembly. If they were not leaking the crack bomb of, the bomb crack of Tifnumbu as rubber stamp, they are there, right? Spending their time on frivolities, while millions of Nigerians have been subjected to an endless terrorism by these jihadists. So tonight, we are taking that on. And please, as you are joining me, remember, before you settle down, the ideal thing is for you to share this broadcast. Invite everyone that needs to be here. America or Americans, they are showing more interest in the extrajudicial killing or the religious, or what some other people call the ethnic cleansing of Christians in Nigeria. It is, it's kind of a topic that most people inside Nigeria who wants to be politically correct would rather, avoid. A topic where a lot of people will say they do not want to offend some certain people. I'm talking about the jihadists. But if you are from Nigeria and you are not living in denial of anything, you would at least remember or be in the know of the killings going on, especially in the middle belt part of the contraption. They've tried to make it look like it's an ethnic clashes. Sometimes they call it a farmers others clashes. But we all know there's nothing called farmers others clashes in the contraption. It is organized terrorism, where the Fulani terrorists in government are sponsoring the Fulani terrorists in the bush. And if you care to know, most of their victims, 99% of their victims in the middle belt part of Nigeria, including the Hausa land of part of Nigeria, their direct victims have always been Christians, just for the clarity. So it seems like there's been a coordinated effort in trying to reduce the population of Christians in northern part of Nigeria. You see, this religious persecution, which has come or become what you can call the state policy in that contraption. Others who want to be politically correct have tried to avoid it. Unfortunately for them, it seems that the cries of the victims of this state-sponsored terrorism against, Christians in Nigeria, their cries has sort of reached, far away U.S. Congress. So 2-3 days ago, the United States Congress organized an hearing, by the way, where some of the eyewitnesses, the victims of this organized terrorism in Nigeria, were invited to the US. Nigeria National Assembly won't touch it because they don't give a damn about, about you. So this is why we are going to go to the US this hour again, just so you kind of get yourself up to date about what is going on. I am going to break this down as much as possible. Let's hear from, the clergy or the bishop from Benue State that was invited, who gave succinct and clear, detail of what they have been through in the last 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you this Archbishop of Makurdi.
I am Wilfred Chikpa Anagbe, appear here as the bishop, the Catholic Bishop of Makurdi Diocese, the capital of Benue State in Nigeria. I am the shepherd of one of the 4 dioceses, Catholic dioceses in Benue. We have others, Anglican, Methodist, and Pentecostals, which sort of the Benue State has a population of about 6.1 million people, 2 million of whom are those under my care as the bishop of the diocese. Benue State is about 98% Christian, with very few Muslims living in towns. Nigeria and eventually my diocese and the state of Benue have become, in recent years, one of the most dangerous and insecure places for Christians. Christians and Muslims are nearly evenly divided among Nigeria's large population of over 200 million persons. Islamist extremists are fiercely contesting the possession, control, and governing law of the land, especially in the country's northern and central regions, the latter of which is where Benue is located. There are constant ethnic, political, and religious conflicts over land and allegiance. Constitutionally, we are a secularist country, but our unity has been fragile. Political and religious actions and even public speech have been carefully managed to avoid accusations of religious bias and political tensions. Today, the clear influence of Islamist extremists has changed the traditional social dynamics of tribe, ethnicity, religion, and the social status in Nigeria. Because just recently, at the beginning of the Ramadan fast, 12 states in northern Nigeria have declared closed schools so that they attend to this. And you can imagine, which other country in the world does that? Saudi Arabia is not doing it. Afghanistan is not doing it. Baghdad is not doing it, but then Nigeria is practicing. What kind of Islam are they practicing? 12 states, and not only Muslims are living in these places. What happens with the educational program or curriculum of the country? But this is what we are going through every day in Nigeria. A long-term Islamic agenda to homogenize the population has been implemented over several presidencies through a strategy to reduce and eventually eliminate the Christian identity of half of the population. This strategy includes both violent and non-violent actions, such as the exclusion of Christians from positions of power and adoption of such church members, the raping of women, the killing and exploitation of Christians, the destruction of churches and farmlands of Christian farmers, followed by the occupation of such lands by the Fulani herders, and also changing the names of these villages. They're taking over the places, so you clearly see an expansionist approach and Islamic religion. And then they are making the people now flee and leave their villages, and they conquer it. The quest to Islamalize the land appears high on the agenda of some of the powerful and influential Muslims in Nigeria. There is a campaign to take land to spread Islam. And there is the hemorrhaging of Christian farmers from the central region of Nigeria and Benue State, and Makurdi Diocese in particular, as they are forced to abandon fertile lands that used to feed the nation, which classify Benue as the food basket of the nation. Militant Fulani herdsmen are terrorists destroying society. They steal and vandalize, they kill and boast about it. They kidnap and rape, and they enjoy total impunity from the elected authorities. None of them have been arrested and brought to justice. This is supported by the corrupt system in which we operate and the abject poverty among us, which allow the criminals to easily attract more recruits and prey on more victims. Why is this happening? Is it really a religious war? Like in the past, many jihadists are motivated less by religion than by spoils of war and use their religion to impose themselves. In my diocese, the spoils consist mainly of fertile, well-tended land organized around my parishes or so. The jihadists come and adopt and kill the priests, leaving thousands without support and basic human services. And of course, when they disperse the people, the inhabitants, or the citizens, or the people of the lands, they take over. And any attempt to go back and take care of your farms, surely you get killed. The Makurdi Diocese in Benue State has been the epicenter of the invasion by these herders, who are more like hired guns of cattle oligarchies, who manipulate religion to rally the herders to eliminate the Christian population and cleanse the land in the name of Islam. This objective is behind the relentless attacks against Benue's villages. When we call for help to the police and the army, they do not come. At the end of 2024, several villages were warned by the attackers of the upcoming violence, and the leaders called the police for defense ahead of time. But they did not come, and the Christian massacres, almost customary, took place, killing hundreds in Plateau and Benue, with the worst massacre claiming 47 people. The militant also burned down the 8 Catholic churches of St. Mary's Parish in the Diocese of Boko, which in Benue State, as well as the parish house, clinics, schools, and other houses. The militant Fulani herdsmen bear on defenseless villagers without consequences. They follow orders to conquer, kill, and occupy. They attack even those who have managed to escape into our IDP camps. Thereby, they have no place to run to. And it is unfortunate that the police system in Nigeria, orders have to come from above. And such that once there's a call, and they say they have never responded. And by the time they arrive, these people have left, and the people are now living in the pool of their blood. What I have recounted above is happening not only in Benue State. I believe our experience in Benue is symptomatic of what is happening elsewhere in large parts of Nigeria. The experience of the Nigerian Christians today can be summed up as that of a church under Islamist extermination. It is frightening to live there. Apart from the violent campaigns and attacks against Christian villages, there are now attempts by the Islamic Council. I am Wilfred.
Thank you very much, Bishop. One of the things that they have succeeded, these Islamist, extremists, I call them terrorists. They have names. We know their sponsors. They are still those who are parading themselves as either Islamic leaders or political leaders from northern part of Nigeria, including those who are their enablers from across Nigeria, who want to say this is just tribal or ethnic clashes. It is not. In Nigeria, you have indigenous people who are indigenous because of their own affinity, relationship with their own land, ancestral connection to their lands. When APC, Egbe took power in Nigeria in 2015, the idea of their Islamization agenda, which is that of preaching violence, attack on the Christians and non-Muslims in particular. So in northern part of Nigeria, this ethnic cleansing, right, which is religious, it's got this religious connotation to it. Wherever, most of the villages, if not all, in northern part of Nigeria, before we even come straight to the middle belt part of Nigeria, most of the communities, villages, attacked and people slaughtered in northern part of Nigeria. Majority of them have been Christian, non-Muslim dominated communities. And for you to understand that it is a coordinated state-sponsored terrorism in Nigeria, rather than for the Nigerian government to actually protect, because that's their right. I mean, that's what they should have done, right? Protect everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're a Muslim or a Christian or somebody who has no religion. So in northern part of Nigeria, it's been a campaign of exterminating those who refuse to convert to Islam, their own type of Islam, to the point that when the Fulani terrorists came on board 10 years ago and started this killing spree, they targeted mostly the middle belt part of Nigeria, even though the core north is being, ravaged by different kind of Islamic terrorists like Lakurawa, Boko Haram, ISWAP, and others like them. But for the Fulani terrorists, their own agenda, right, is to drive further central, to drive further into the middle belt part of Nigeria. And they have turned most of this part of the middle belt part of Nigeria, especially Benue State. Benue State is adjudged to be, they used to call it Benue, a food basket of Nigeria. Today, Benue is now regarded as the graveyard center of Nigeria, where farms, places that used to be farms, right, are now partly occupying the corpses of those slaughtered by this Fulani terrorist. In southern Kaduna, same way, where El Rufaya, the Kaduna little finger, the man that should actually be standing trial, right, for terrorism, as well as crime against humanity, is today jumping from one place to the other, claiming to be rallying the opposition together to chase a man, the drug dealer that he also supported in bringing to power. Under Bukwari, the Fulani terrorists received what we can possibly call the license to kill. This license to kill, right, gave them so much, leverage in the middle belt part of Nigeria, where for you to really know that this is an organized attack on those Christians, especially in the middle belt part of Nigeria, there is records of, churches being burnt down, pastors being kidnapped and slaughtered, bishops, reverend fathers, church members, in this part of Nigeria. But guess what? None of this really moved the supposed people who swore to actually protect you when they took political office. Rather than go after these criminals, these terrorists, genuinely call them the terrorists as who they are, the states, Nigerian governments continue to shield them. In places where people refuse to convert to their, Islam in that part of Nigeria, they are summarily executed, slaughtered. In fact, they will make you believe that northern Nigeria is an Islamic region when it is not. But they pushed that agenda, they pushed that idea for so long that even those of us from the southern part of Nigeria, we are being kind of like, socially conditioned to accept this means, this violence means of their supposed Islam in northern part of Nigeria. In fact, they have succeeded enough that, right, those of us from southern part of Nigeria are pretty much believed to be ruled by a different constitution, while those from the northern part of Nigeria are also being ruled or governed with a different constitution, even though it's just the same constitution we have in that contraption, right? Now, those who are Christians in the southern part of Nigeria, they have somehow been either bullied into not speaking up, because speaking up sometimes is considered as, what they call like you are provoking them. So these murderous Islamic terrorists in northern part of Nigeria, they have the backing of those in government who indeed have been shielding them. Listen, whenever they are attacking these communities that are also Nigerians, so under Bukwari, the military, right, the police and others will tell you that order from above told them not to react to it. So innocent people, women, children, elderly, including the handicapped, the disabled, right, are slaughtered by this murderous terrorist. In Kaduna, when El Rufaya was their governor, in fact, the idea of changing the names of some communities to Islamic name or whatever Fulani name or whatever name that they chose, after they must have attacked these communities, chased the survivors away to the IDP camps, then these terrorists, they occupy these communities as well. I mean, they stay in the crime scene. The rest of the world watches probably the rest of the world just watches in horror. But in Nigeria, everything to placate and make these terrorists, this Islamic terrorists, right, to be comfortable,